Hello, welcome to our stand at Fine Art Asia 2019. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Salomon Aaron. I'm the director of David Aaron. We're a fourth generation gallery that specializes in antiquities, art from the classical, Egyptian, Near Eastern and Islamic worlds. This year at Fine Art Asia, one of our highlight objects is Princess Baketmut. This is our 6th year at Fine Art Asia, and we've been exhibiting consistently throughout this period. This sculpture depicts a princess named Baketmut and her husband. It's from the New Kingdom in ancient Egypt, which is around 1280 BC. The New Kingdom is the prized period in Egyptian art history, where many of the most famous sculptures in museums were produced. It's a group sculpture because there are two people. Princess Baketmut is identifiable because of her inscriptions, which explain who she was. She was one of the many children or daughters of Ramses II, one of Egypt's most notorious and famous pharaohs. It's an exquisitely carved sculpture. The rendering of the feet, the hair, the softness of the carving, its scale. This is a very important cult statue produced for someone that was of immense nobility and wealth. What's also special about this object is the romanticism of the piece. Princess Baketmut is grasping her husband with both arms. This is an idealized portrait of a couple. These sculptures would originally have been placed in tombs as dedications or offerings to the gods, and also as a means to ensure the perpetuity of Princess Baketmut and her husband's souls. The piece comes from a famous Swiss collection, the Koffler family, who were industrialists very well known for assembling an important collection of Egyptian and medieval art. The sculpture has been exhibited and published several times, on loan to major museums, and most recently a book has been produced by a major Egyptologist on this object. So we're very happy to have this piece here at Fine Art Asia, and it's a breathing, living testimony, one of the greatest examples of sculpture in private hands from ancient Egypt.
My name is George Somlow. I come from London. I have an antique shop in London. I've been exhibiting at this fine antique show ever since it started, and I specialize in vintage and antique watches, as you can see behind me, particularly decorative pieces. And I have a number of watches which are particularly interesting because they were made in Europe, either Switzerland or in London, but made for the Chinese market. All these beautiful decorations, they all were made around the 1780-1790 period, and they were exported to China, especially to the emperors. The emperors were very, very keen on the visual parts of these watches. That's why the watches are all very fine, with fine enameling and decorations. And in China, a lot of these actual decorations meant certain things: longevity, health, and wealth. This piece is one of my favorite pieces. It was made in Switzerland. As you can see, it's a scarab beetle. It was exported to China to the emperors. Not only did they like visual pieces and the very fine coloring of the enamel, they liked things to do things. Now this particular piece, actually, by pushing the little base, opens up the wings, so it's pretending that it's going to be flying away. So they like that very much indeed. Now the whole piece looks like actually a scarab or beetle. As with the Egyptians, the Chinese also believed in resurrection and longevity, and this scarab actually represented that. Now it's beautifully made, as you can see from the wings, the way they are popping it open. Even though it's 200 years old, it's in incredibly fine condition. Even the back, you can see all the details from the gold where the actual legs are. Now it also opens out from the back. Inside here you could actually put a photograph, so it's like a little photographic frame. And on this side, because naturally in those days you didn't have to wind up watches with your fingers, we have little keys. I have in my pocket to show you a tiny little key that would fit in here to wind the watch. One hole winds it and the other one moves actually the hands. Even though the watch is 200 years old, it is still working. And if I open up this, which is called a dust cover, you can actually see the little mechanism, which is shaped as an oval to take the shape of the actual scarab itself. It is actually working. You can see the little balance wheel working around. So longevity here, 200 years old and still fully working.
Hello, my name is Iwona Tenzing of Tenzing Asian Art. I'm from San Francisco. This is my 5th year exhibiting in Fine Art Asia in Hong Kong. My specialty is Buddhist art of the Himalayas. From across the whole Himalayan region, we have art from northeastern India, Nepal, Kashmir and Tibet. The highlight this year of our exhibit is the sculpture of Goddess Tara. She's the Buddhist female goddess that is equivalent of Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva of compassion. This is a perfect example of 13th century sculpture that is quite impressive in size. It came from Tibet, but the artist was a Newari artist. Newaris are the occupants of the Kathmandu Valley, and they were famous for their exceptional skill and artistry, and were hired as artisans all over Tibet and in China to create sculptures and architecture. She is still gilded and the condition is exceptional. She's very sensuous in her body. You can see diaphanous garment clinging to her body, and the movement is very elegant, and she conveys tranquility and peace, as devotee would like to see, because this kind of iconography is iconography of Vajrayana Buddhism, which encompasses all the ascetic and yogic practices into the Mahayana Buddhism. So she's a perfect example of the Newari work for the time and period 13th century.
Hello, my name is Wahei Aoyama and I am the owner of the Yufuku Gallery in Tokyo, Japan. We are first-time participants at Fine Art Asia this year, and it's a great honor and pleasure to be here in Hong Kong. Thank you very much for having us. It's a wonderful fair. Today I would like to introduce one work, a standout work at our stand this year, and this is the work Miyoko Ikuta's Ku 135. She is one of the leading glass artists in Japan from Kyoto, collected around over 20 museums throughout the world, and most recently the Metropolitan Museum in New York has also acquired a work from her last month, to be exact. And this work is made out of about 60 different layers of glass that she cuts one by hand and attaches one by one with a special glue that disappears and hardens completely under ultraviolet light. So it disappears completely. You can see right through it. Each piece is different, and you can see the 60 layers within the glass as well. She was actually a jazz pianist, and she is actually trying to put her musical rhythms, her jazz improvisations within the glass. So this is actually musical rhythms in glass, captured with light within these beautiful forms and silhouettes that she has. And the reflection underneath from the light as well is also very much a part of the work. It's called free essence in English, and really tries to capture the essence of truth. The perspective that you see from this side and the perspective you see from this side is completely different, but all both the same reality at the same time. This is what she's trying to express. And this is the highlight of our year at Fine Art Asia. Thank you very much for having us.
So I'm Lucy Kitchener and I'm the Managing Director of Masterpiece London, and we are absolutely delighted to be part of Fine Art Asia this year. This represents a small time capsule in our pavilion representing 2,000 years of history and of art, And in many ways we share the same philosophy as Fine Art Asia, in that we believe passionately in cross-collecting and showing different disciplines together, both spanning cultures and time. So you'll see next to me a bust, the head of which is from the 1st century and the body of which is from the 2nd century, alongside a Bridget Riley painting from very recently. Masterpiece is here for the first time with 15 galleries being represented from London, and we have around 35 works of art, both historic masterpieces such as Cézanne, as well as more contemporary pieces. And we're delighted to be here, very excited to be part of the fair this year, and we look forward also to coming back next year and showing you more of what we believe to be incredible treasures.
My name is Benedict Robinson from Robert Anton Voena Gallery. We are here exhibiting at the Masterpiece Pavilion, and we're thrilled to be taking part this year. We have brought with us 3 masterpieces, Canaletto painting here, and Fontana, and a Giorgio Morandi. These paintings epitomise the sort of works that we show in the gallery, from old master paintings to post-war Italian paintings, and we believe they fit in perfectly with the ethos of Masterpiece in showing this cross-collecting idea of bringing works from all periods of history and traditions. And we're very much excited to return next year when the fair expands, and to see how that will develop, and to introduce more of our works to a new sort of collector base from Asia, that we're very much looking forward to meeting more people this year and next, and moving forward.